All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're unlocking one of the most powerful and, honestly, most flexible tools in any programmer's toolkit, the Python dictionary. If you want to handle real-world data, you've got to master this. I mean, think about it for a second. Your phone's contact list is the perfect example. You don't just have a jumble of names and numbers, right? You've got a name, and that name is connected to a phone number and maybe an email address, all for one person. How does a computer keep all of that organized? So how would you actually store this info? Well, you could just throw it all into a simple list like you see on the left. But yikes, it's a mess. There's zero context. Which one's the name? Is that the work number or the cell? But look over on the right. Ah, so much better. It's perfectly clear. Each piece of data has a label, a name, a phone, an email. Now that is organized data.
And that's really the heart of the problem. A simple list just isn't smart enough for this kind of job. You need the perfect tool for it. And in Python, that tool is the dictionary. So for the next few minutes, let's just think of a dictionary as exactly that. A superpowered digital contact list that lets us label everything perfectly. Okay, so what is a dictionary officially? In Python, it's a collection that stores data in what we call key-value pairs. And you see those curly brackets on the screen? That's your big signal that you're looking at a dictionary. Just think of the key as a unique label, like a word in a real dictionary, and the value is the information that label points to, the definition. And here is a perfect, simple example. We've got a dictionary called Programming Dictionary. Inside, the word bug is our key. Then you have a colon and the definition. An error in a program is its value. This structure creates a really clear one-to-one relationship, which makes your data so much easier to read and work with. All right, so now that we know what a dictionary is, let's get into the three most basic things you'll be doing with them all the time. And we're going to stick with our contact list idea. First, you need to be able to look someone's info up, right? Second, you'll need to add new people to the list. And third, people change their numbers, so you'll definitely need to update their details. Looking up information is probably the most common thing you'll do. And it's super easy. To get a value, you just use the dictionary's name, and then you give it the key inside of square brackets. So if you type programming_dictionary function, Python would instantly give you back its value, a piece of code. Simple as that. Adding new stuff is just as straightforward. You use that same square bracket syntax, but this time you're assigning a value to a brand new key. So if you wrote programming dictionary, quote-unquote loop, equals a way to repeat a block of code, Python would check, see that the key, loop, doesn't exist yet, and just add that new key-value pair to the dictionary for you. And here is the really clever part. Updating an existing entry uses the exact same syntax as adding a new one. If you write programming dictionary bug equals a moth in your computer, Python first checks if the bug key is already in there. Since it is, it doesn't create a new entry. It just replaces the old value with this new one. It's so clean and efficient. Okay, you've totally mastered the basics. Now it's time for the real power-up. The thing that makes dictionaries absolutely essential for any complex program, something called nesting. So let's go back to our contact list for a second. What happens when the data gets a little more complicated? I mean, a person can have a work phone and a mobile phone, right? A simple key-value pair isn't going to cut it. We need a way to store a list of numbers under a single phone key. And the solution to that problem is nesting. This is the big idea right here. The value in your key-value pair doesn't have to be just a simple piece of text. The value can be another data structure entirely. So for that phone key, the value could be a list of all their phone numbers. You could even have a dictionary inside of another dictionary. This is the secret to building truly complex and organized data. But talk is cheap. Let's see how this actually works with a real powerful example that pulls together everything we've just learned. Whoa. Okay, take a breath. Don't get intimidated by this block of code. It might look a little crazy, but I promise you, it's just a combination of the simple building blocks we already know. This is something called a travel log, and we are going to break it down piece by piece. This slide breaks it all down for us. First, notice the big square brackets on the very outside. That tells us the entire travel log is a list. Okay, easy enough. Now, inside that list, we have 2 items, and each one is wrapped in curly brackets, which means each item is a dictionary. And if we look inside one of those dictionaries, the value for the city's visited key is, wait for it, another list. You can see its own little square brackets. This right here, this is nesting in action. Lists inside of dictionaries inside of a list. It's just layers of data all perfectly organized. So, you might be thinking, okay, this is cool, but is it just some kind of programming puzzle? And the answer is absolutely not. Let's talk about why this skill is one of the most important things you can learn.
This specific structure, a list of dictionaries, is probably one of the most common data formats you will ever see in the real world. Seriously, when your app needs to get data from a web API, it often looks exactly like our travel log. When you work with data files in a format called JSON, it's the same structure. Storing user profiles, processing huge data sets, it's all built on this foundation. Mastering this means you are ready to work with professional-grade data.
So we've gone from a simple, messy contacts list to a structure that can handle incredibly complex information. You now have the fundamental tool to organize pretty much any kind of data you can imagine. So I guess the only question left is, what are you going to build with it?